Former PNP councillors turn against their own in Westmoreland. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. The PNP is in trouble in Westmoreland as a plot was developed to get rid of the Deputy Mayor, Dannery Delancey. The motion was brought by Jamaica Labour Party councillor with the support of 3 former Turncourt PNP councillors. On Thursday, a motion was moved to have Delancey removed as Deputy Mayor of Savlamar, and it was carried out with a vote of 7 for and 4 against. Subsequently, a vote of 7 to 4 saw councillors of the Little London Division, Ian Miles, being put forward as the new Deputy Mayor of Savlamar. Mr. Miles was one of 3 councillors who resigned from the PNP on Monday. Their resignation shifted the balance of power in the corporation to 5 PNP, 4 JLP, and 3 independent councillors. The PNP has said that the non-performance claims made against Dannery Delancey in the motions are based and spurious. The party described the move by the former PNP councillor to support the JLP motion as a betrayal of the trust placed in them by the citizens of Westmoreland. Meanwhile, the Alligator police in Manchester have arrested a woman found in possession of an illegal firearm and several rounds of ammunition. According to reports, about 7:30 a.m. Wednesday, a police team was in the area known as Compound when they saw the woman carrying a bag and acting strangely. A .38 revolver along with 17 rounds of ammunition was found in the bag. She was taken into custody and is expected to be charged following questioning. And this is the second firearm seized in the Alligator Pond policing area since the start of the month. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is reporting that 3 alleged members of the St. James base Only the Family gang have been taken into custody. 3 rifles, 4 pistols, and at least 200 rounds of assorted ammunition were seized during the targeted operation by the Joint Anti-Gang Task Force in Greenpond yesterday morning. The St. Mary police are now probing the murder of a man in Anata Bay on Wednesday night. He is Patrick Samuels, otherwise called Bongo Ricky of PNP Lane. Neighbors reported they heard Mr. Samuels shouting for help about 9:30. The police were called and Mr. Samuels was seen on the ground outside his house with several chop wounds. He later died at hospital. Javan Garwood, who was charged with the murder of his stepmother Andrea Lowe Garwood, has been found not guilty. Mr. Garwood was acquitted after the prosecution told the court that no further evidence would be presented against him. Chief Justice Brian Sykes directed jurors to deliver a verdict of not guilty in both counts of murder and accessory before the fact to murder. The Crown case collapsed after convicted hitman Dwight Prince Bingham did not take the stand. Bingham had pleaded guilty to the murder on Monday at his trial. Leon Hines, the driver of the vehicle in which Bingham escaped from the scene of the church shooting, is serving a 6-year sentence for illegal possession of firearm after he also entered a guilty plea. Miss Lowe Garwood was shot dead during a church service in Trelawney on January 30 of 2021. And you can see that this is a travesty of justice. How is it possible that this man is found not guilty? This is the case of a woman who was in church and a gunman sitting behind her shot her to death, then just walked out and entered a car driven by Hines. The killers already said that this man was the one who sent them, yet the Jamaica justice system said he is innocent. The Senton police are trying to establish a motive for an attack at a bar in Mount Edgecombe in Runaway Bay on Tuesday night. About 10 p.m. a 70-year-old businesswoman and other patrons were inside her bar when a man armed with a gun entered and began firing at the patrons. The elderly woman and her customers ran and managed to escape without being wounded. And a similar attack also took place at another bar in St. Mary when gunmen struck on Tuesday, leaving 1 man dead and another hospitalized with bullet wounds. A Jamaica Defense Force soldier was also attacking the incident, but he was able to escape the gunmen. Investigators said that 31-year-old Sanjay Stewart, a construction worker of Crooked River, was killed in that attack. It's reported that about 4:30 p.m., Mr. Stewart and the soldier were patrons at a bar in Crooked River when armed men entered and fired at Mr. Stewart, hitting him several times. A 47-year-old salesman was also hit as the other patrons fled. The soldier managed to jump into a vehicle, sped away in a bid to escape the attackers. The vehicle was chased by the gunmen who opened gunfire at the JDF member, but he managed to escape unhurt. The 2 wounded men were then taken to hospital, where Mr. Stewart was pronounced dead. On to sports, the U.S. men's national team's Gold Cup defense crashed to an unhappy end at the hands of Panama on Wednesday night, making just the second time in the last 20 years the U.S. have failed to reach the tournament's final. The U.S., unlike Jamaica, actually clawed themselves back from being 1-0 down with only a few minutes left to tie the game 1-1 at the end of overtime and equalize and forced the game to a penalty shootout where Panama showed to be the better team. Panama will now face Mexico in the finals. Meanwhile, Mexico put on a show and spanked a slow, disorganized Jamaica 3-0. From the first minute, Mexico started what looked like all their players were energized bunnies. They challenged for every ball and constantly attacked every play that Jamaica tried to organize. And this is probably one of the best displays of football that Mexico has played in at least 4 years. They never gave the Jamaica Reggae boys any chance or space to get comfortable and settle, to pass or to coordinate any play. In the first half, I saw Mexico cannot keep this type of attack for the full game. But I was so wrong, as nothing changed in the second half. And so it was in the beginning, so it was in the end. Mexico's first goal came in the first 1 minute 23 seconds of the first half and shocked the small Jamaican crowd, but got the massive Mexican supporters screaming with joy. And it never stopped, as Jamaica was not allowed to settle, as they constantly attacked, searching for the second goal, which Mexico got in the 30th minute. By this time, the Jamaica team looked defeated, but from time to time tried to fight back with some long passes from defense all the way to forward, which did not work, as whenever the ball got played in this manner, it was easily broken up by the Mexican defense, as the Jamaican forward were playing too far from each other, and at no time did the forwards look to be any threat to the Mexican goalie. The midfield looked lost, and they never were allowed to do any build-up from the midfield as they are accustomed to. In other words, the Mexicans seemed to nullify the entire Jamaican squad, including the coach, who it seems never got the team to play the usual way that the team is accustomed to play. And it was the same in the second half, with Mexico leading 2-0 and still no normal build-up from the defense to midfield to forward by the Jamaicans. Jamaica seemed totally out of place, with the defense constantly under pressure, and the players seemed to be trying too much individual play rather than as a team, and with no cohesive play, ended up just losing the ball on every play and faced constant pressure. And from this pressure, the Mexicans scored again and put them out of their misery. Mexico will now face Panama on Sunday in the Gold Cup finals. And if you ever miss the news on this radio station, please go to YouTube, type in Jamaican Undiluted News, listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. That's news and sports on your favorite radio station. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.